Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the first meeting of MAC for the year 2022. We have with us several new members of the committee, and I believe we have a few who will still be joining us. So we'll start the meeting with our traditional election of officers for the beginning of the term. So I will ask if there are any volunteers or nominations for the position of chair first. Councillor Neal?
Yes, I should have asked her in advance, but I would nominate Caitlin Bruce if she's willing to do another go at it.
So Caitlin, are you interested in serving as chair? Would you like to give somebody else a turn? I'll turn it over to you. I think you're still on mute.
Sorry, learning with my technology. Thank you for the nomination, Councillor Neal. I appreciate it. Unfortunately, due to personal circumstances, I'm going to have to decline, as I know I won't be able to throughout the entire year. So I'd like to pass the opportunity on to someone else.
All right. Thank you, Caitlin. And I'll take this time to thank you for your previous service as chair. So are there any other volunteers or nominations for chair today? I see two hands up. So I see Andrew and Amy. So perhaps what I'll just do unofficially, is there anybody else interested in serving as either chair or vice chair at this time? I'm not seeing any hands. So maybe Andrew, Amy, do you have a preference as to which you would rather do as chair or vice chair? Andrew, you're the current vice chair right now. So would you be interested in serving as chair and then Amy as the vice?
If that's okay with Amy, doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I'm good with either, honestly.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll throw out a suggestion that Andrew can, for this term at least, we'll go as Andrew as chair and Amy as vice chair. So to make things official then, I will need a mover and a seconder for Andrew Ashby as chair. Councillor Neal moves, and I see Janice seconds. And I will call the vote on that. All in favor, either raise your physical hand or virtual hand. Perfect. So that carries. And second, we will go to our vice chair. And I'll ask for a mover and a seconder for Amy Birch as vice chair. I see David and Susan moving and seconding. Thank you very much. And I will call the vote on that. All in favor, please raise your physical hand or virtual hand. Excellent. And I see that passes as well. So thank you, Andrew and Amy, for volunteering. And I will turn things over to Andrew as the chair.
Thank you very much, Derek. Welcome, everyone. Derek, I'm wondering if before I call it to order, should we do a quick roundtable of introductions, or should we wait for the next?
I think we could do that now. I have no issue with that. So if you would like, I can help sort of lead that by going around the screen for people. So we can start with yourself then, Andrew.
Great. Hi, everyone. Andrew Ashby. Normally, I'm the accessibility coordinator with the Queen's Human Rights and Equity Office. This will be my sixth and final year on the MAC committee. Very happy to be here. Happy to see everyone. It's some familiar faces and new faces, so welcome.
Thank you, Andrew. Next on my screen is Amy.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see some familiar faces. My name is Amy, as Derek said. I work at Queen's in the office of a university ombudsperson. I'm kind of heavily involved in Special Olympics as well as a side. I was previously on this committee for 6 years, took my year off, and then got reappointed back on the committee. So I'm glad to be back this term again.
Amy, next on my screen is Dinah.
Hi, I'm Dinah Cotter, and I joined the committee this year to hopefully see what it's like and be a part. I have a service dog and I'm active in the community.
Thank you, Dinah. Next is David.
Everyone. David Williams. I am the chair of the Built Environment Working Group. I've been, like Andrew, I've been on the main committee for about 6 years. I think this is it for me as well this year. I'm retired from the addiction mental health field, and I have a service dog as well. If we ever get together, maybe we can meet. Thank
Thank you, David. And I think we're all hopeful we can meet in person sometime soon. Next, Councillor Neal.
Yes, thank you. This is my 18th and final year as a city councillor. So I'm looking forward to my third retirement, I guess it is. So, but I really enjoy being on this committee and all the good work that you do. So thank you. Oh, I
Excellent.
represent Williamsville District.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Neal. Next, I have Maxine. You're still on mute right now, Maxine.
Pardon me. There we go. Sorry about that. I'll get better at it. This is new for me. I retired 20 years ago from nonprofit housing in North Bay, Ontario. I was involved in my community in a plethora of ways. I'm happily transported to the sunny South, Kingston. We've been here 6 years now, and I thought it was time to get involved. I unfortunately was diagnosed with cancer 3 years ago, and that's given me an insight into some mobility issues. And I thought with my past in nonprofit housing and my board work that my new mobility and health issues would bring some perspective, and perhaps I can offer something as we move along. I'm excited to be involved.
Excellent. Thank you, Maxine. Next on my screen is Kate.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kate. I'm the Programs and Services Manager at Independent Living Center Kingston. So that is a cross-disability resource center here in town. And this is my third year on the committee.
Excellent. Thank you, Kate. Next is Susan.
Hi, I'm Susan Markler, and this is my third year on the committee as well. And I've been involved in the Built Environment Working Group and actually also in the Education and Awareness Group, and have learned a lot, and I'm really looking forward to continuing this year and meeting all the new people too.
Excellent. Thank you, Susan. Next is Corey.
Hi, I'm Corey Scott. I'm a mindset coach and organizational development consultant. I do have some limited experience with accessibility issues through various iterations of my job. And I think it's a really big part of community building, so it interests me. And I have a special interest in sort of hidden disability. Because I certainly have one, so that's where I'm there. That's where my interest comes from. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Corey. Next is Janice.
Hello, everybody. I'm Janice Wilby. This will be my second year on the group, and I, like Susan, I'd echo Susan's. I'm on the the Built Environment Working Group, and it's been a pleasure. I've learned a ton, and I'm still learning. I work for Wind Athletes Canada, which is a charitable organization in town that raises money for high performance sailors, and I'm also on the Cork board, which is the not-for-profit that runs the regattas out of POH every year. And I come from a perspective, I have my perspective is lack of mobility due to MS. So I scoot around town, and I I have now have a unique perspective for getting around, and it's pretty fantastic what Kingston does for people. So I've been impressed, and I'm happy to help out any way I can.
Great. Thank you, Janice. Next is Glenn.
Good to see everyone. I'm Glenn Griffis. I work for Johnson Controls, and I am currently the facility manager at Providence Care Hospital. And I've been on the committee for about 4 years now, I believe.
Great. Thanks, Glenn. Next is Nicholas.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Nicholas Toljesi. I'm a registered insurance broker. I have an IT degree, and I'm a retired professional swimmer. At age 8, I had 2 strokes, which left me with right side weakness. But I was able to get in touch with actually Vicky Keith here in town, world-renowned swimmer. So I had a 10-year career with her. And I actually, while I was doing all that, I came across this committee and really wanted to get on because, like everyone else, I want to be a part of this fantastic team. So I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, Nicholas. Next is William.
Hi, everyone. My name is Will Mcmillan. Currently, I work at St. Lawrence College as the Associate Director of Workplace Relations. And I also manage the accommodation disability management process at the college. I have been here, I think, probably for about 3 months, so I'm fairly new to the committee, but I want to obviously join the committee as an ally and also lend some areas of expertise that I'm involved in, but also want to be a part of and work with all of you and share experiences as a whole. So really looking forward to continuing to work on the committee.
Great. Thank you, William. And next I have Caitlin.
Thanks, Derek. Hi, everyone. My name's Caitlin Bruce. I am a new staff to Queen's University as an accessibility advisor. Formerly, I worked at the CNIB, the Canadian National Institute for the Blind. I am a person who lives with sight loss. I have low vision and always very interested and eager to get involved and advocate and be a part of the community. So very happy to be here. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is my 5th year on the committee.
Great. Thank you, Caitlin. And I do know another member has just joined us. So Chantel or Shantai, my apologies if I mispronounced, but please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Chantel Buczynski, Lieutenant Navy, retired. I was in the Royal Canadian Navy for 18 years. I was in Air Cadets before that. I enjoyed a wonderful career in different places in the country, which the Naval Reserve brought me to. My mother used to be on the BC Coalition for Persons with Disabilities, and that team was instrumental in improving the accessibility of Vancouver, British Columbia. And that was a really special memory for me while I was growing up. And now as a disabled veteran, I'm eager to carry on the family legacy and to contribute to the community of Kingston, Ontario.
Thank you, Chantel. And before we get into the meeting, I'll quickly introduce myself. Derek O'Shea, I'm the committee clerk. For the committee, I'm here to help make sure the committee runs smoothly, and I'm here to assist you as committee members in any way possible. So I've had a pleasure with working with many of you for several years. Some cases we've just gotten to know each other, and I'm looking forward to working and learning from everybody. And I'll also give my manager, Janet Janes, an opportunity to introduce herself as well.
Hi, everybody. My name is Janet Janes. My official title is Deputy City Clerk, but with that title also comes the oversight of the accessibility portfolio for the corporation of the City of Kingston. It's a role that I've been in since mid-2019. So like many of you have said, I'm learning something new all the time. And I think that's great. There's always new things happening. So willingness to learn is great. I'm glad to hear so many of you are eager to learn too. And I'm looking forward to working with all of our new members and our returning members. Thanks.
With that, we'll turn it back over to you, Andrew.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Sounds like we have a great group with a lot of experience and lived experience and wellness, so that's fantastic. So with that, I'm going to call this meeting to order. And the next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Hopefully everyone had a chance to look at it. An addendum was sent out yesterday, adding item 8C part 2 to the agenda. Does anyone have any additions or any issues with the agenda? If there's nothing, I have one question. Item 8A, it says 2020 committee work plan. Should that be 2022?
Yes, it should be, Andrew. I am unfortunately 2 years behind the times, so my apologies, and we will make sure to amend that before it gets to council.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah, well, you're not alone, Derek. I've been doing it for weeks now myself. Same thing. So can I have a mover and a seconder to accept the agenda? And
I move to accept the agenda.
Okay, I'm not sure who that was.
Andrew, if I can help out, I've got Chantel, and I saw Amy had her hand up as well.
Perfect. That'd be great, Derek. Yeah, I have 15 windows open. So that's great. All in favor?
And I can confirm that carries.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 4 is the confirmation of the minutes from November 4th, 2021. Anyone who was at that meeting, is there any issues or correction to the minutes?
Not seeing any hands, Andrew.
Okay, can I have a mover and a seconder to confirm the minutes?
Have Janice moving and Susan seconding.
Excellent. All in favor?
And that carries, Andrew.
Excellent. Item 5 is the disclosure of pecuniary interest. And for those like myself, the first year, wondering what pecuniary means, pretty much means is there anything on the agenda that you might profit from monetarily or directly or indirectly get money from or have any kind of conflict with? So is there anything out there for anyone?
Not seeing any hands up, Andrew.
Okay, then we'll move on to item 6, which is delegations. I don't see any. Do we have any?
That's correct. There are no delegations and no briefings.
Excellent. Okay, so that takes care of item 7. Moving on to item 8, which is business. Item A is the 2022 committee work plan. I assume, Janet, are you addressing this item?
Yes, that is me, Andrew. Hi again, everyone. So first of all, it's good to see everybody again. It's been a long time since I've seen your faces, and I just want to officially welcome our new members. I'm pleased at this time to be able to present the committee with the draft 2022 work plan for consideration. At a very high level, the work plan includes update reports and briefings to be provided by a number of city departments. The creation of the 2023 to 2025 multi-year accessibility plan. There'll be quarterly information reports from the City of Kingston Accessibility Office to provide updates on customer service statistics related to accessibility and other work done to further corporate accessibility. Quarterly reports from the two working groups, Awareness and Education and Built Environment, There will be the annual awareness and education campaign for National Accessibility Week, which this year is from May 29th to June 4th. City participation in the Disabilities Mentoring Day, which takes place in late October, and planning and hosting of the annual Celebrating Accessibility Awards. The report also proposes a 2022 meeting schedule for the committee with meetings on all meetings are on Thursdays, March 3rd, May 5th, June 2nd, September 1st, and November 3rd. The reason we propose the schedule is to recognize that our committee members have many other things that they're doing, and to try and sort of plan ahead so that you know when it is that we're going to be calling on you to consult with. Thanks very much. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Janet?
Andrew, I am not seeing any hands at this time.
Okay, we have a recommendation to that the 2022 MAC work plan attached as Exhibit A be approved by this committee. Do I have a mover and a seconder for that?
I have Kate moving and Will seconding.
Excellent. All in favor?
And that carries unanimously.
Excellent. Moving on to item B, the Accessibility Office Q4 report from 2021. Janet, is that you again?
That's me again. So this report summarizes recent accessibility activities within the municipality and provides customer service statistics for the fourth quarter of 2021. The statistics that are noted in the report are statistics that are received from the Customer Experience Division. Details of feedback, each feedback contact is documented in the city's work order system, and it is forwarded to the appropriate department for action and resolution. At a high level, overall inquiries in Q4 of 2021 decreased to 82 from 98 inquiries in Q3. The decrease was seen primarily in the transit service area. The report also provides a status update of the work plan for 2021, which contained 18 individual initiatives, all of which were completed except for one, which is the programming and special events update, which we have incorporated into the 2022 work plan that you just approved. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So is there any questions about that Q4 report for Janet?
I do see a question from David.
David, go ahead.
Sorry, I lost my button. I'm just, this is more of a reminder, I think, Janet, when we look at the classifications for the 4 quarters and the assistive devices, big increase in July, September, and a reduction for October, December. Can you remind again what that classification refers to more specifically? Just noting that the beginning of the year or the first half was reduced or was much lower.
Janet, you're on mute.
Sorry, thank you for the reminder, Derek. Usually it's much lower in the earlier part of the year. I think a lot of the reason the numbers was lower this year was because City Hall was closed at the beginning of the year with the COVID restrictions or very reduced capacity. So assistive devices can be anything from accessory listening devices to request for ASL interpreter if the client comes in to receive services at City Hall and they need that interpretation service. I can certainly, David, go back and take a look at the individual incidents that were
Mhm.
reported, and report back to the group about what the sort of provide a bit of analysis about, what the requests were for, and compare that quarter over quarter.
Okay, thank you. I was actually thinking, given our conversations over the past year and a half, the pandemic has had considerable effect on the numbers in each quarter anyway. So I was thinking that that was part of it. It just is more glaring there than elsewhere. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
I see a hand up. I think Amy has a question. If you do, go ahead, Amy.
Yeah, I was just curious about the year over year. I know you had linked the 2020 report. And do you ever kind of look in terms of like, are there any trends that appear that like seem to, I don't know, work out better or worse in a sense of like, sometimes we do the parking campaign. So does that mean you would then have a whole bunch of parking inquiries? Or if you notice that you have a bunch of parking inquiries, does that then direct, maybe we do communication around parking? That's just an example because I see that there seems to always be parking questions or parking issues. So I'm just curious from year over year, because I also noticed 2020 was also much lower than even 2019, and then looking at 2021, just in terms of inquiries. And I just wasn't sure if it was because of different campaigns, or do you ever actually look at that to see if there is a correlation between things that you do in terms of the communication, I guess, that goes out?
Thanks for the question, Amy. It's a great question. Yes, we do take a look at that. COVID has impacted everything, and this is no different because I think our metrics have been off because, a lot of times, like we'll see a lot fewer inquiries about things like parking. Well, that's because, parking was free at one point, or nobody was going anywhere because everything was closed, right? So, when everybody's staying home, parking doesn't become an issue, right? So it kind of skews our metrics. Sometimes it makes us look really good. Oh, there were no complaints for parking, but that was because we were all staying home, not going anywhere. So while it's always nice to have a low number, it's not necessarily an accurate reflection. And again, I'll use the example just from this time, like the lower number in transit. It's great to have a lower number, but I think the numbers in the previous quarter were higher, but they weren't necessarily inquiries because somebody was complaining about, poor service or bus didn't show up or anything like that. We got many inquiries, positive feedback about the new electric buses. There seemed to be, when I did a review of the inquiries, a lot of people had forgotten things on buses, you know what I mean? And so those aren't necessarily sort of service related, but they are still inquiries about transit service, so, somebody's forgotten like a cane or something like that. So it ends up coming in under transit and accessibility as well. So that did mean the metrics were a little higher, but they were higher in a good way. So we try to provide some analysis that way and not just rely on, was the number 20 or 5, but why was the number higher? Because sometimes a low number doesn't reflect that everything is great, and a high number doesn't reflect that everything is not great.
That's great. Thank you for providing that context. I think that's helpful.
I see another hand up. Penny, go ahead. The floor is yours.
I'm just wondering if we shouldn't track negative as opposed to just people phoning or calling in to give a comment, and whether there's a complaint that we should have that separated so that we know for sure what the complaints are and how many just regular requests there are. Or comments.
Yeah, thanks thanks for that comment, Penny. That, I mean, we do have to track everything, and that's part of the reason why I do sort of provide the sort of the verbal context beyond just the numbers. I do recall it in the last quarterly report, I had indicated that the numbers for transit were high, but had indicated that that was because of sort of the positive feedback that we were receiving about the electric buses and that sort of thing. So I'm not familiar enough with the customer experience system and how they track those things and whether or not they could sort of quantify whether something was an inquiry versus a compliment versus a criticism. But I do try to sort of accommodate that by providing the verbal context. But I do appreciate your feedback. Thank you.
And Andrew, I see Caitlin has her hand up.
Okay,
Thank
Caitlin,
you.
go ahead.
Thanks, Andrew. I just had a quick question / comment. So I encountered several times a audible pedestrian signal not working. I called in to the contact us to report it, and I know that at least 2 others had reported it as well. They acknowledged that it would be fixed, but then it wasn't. I haven't been back, unfortunately, to see if it was fixed, but I'm wondering what area that would be captured under in terms of the service areas, because I don't see it appearing here, and it fell within like the last quarter. So I just want to make sure of where that would fall under in terms of categories.
Thank you for the question, Caitlin. I do remember seeing that come in. Let me just get back to my report here. I've got too many things open on my screen. Just gotta go up a little bit. So I believe that that would fall in the area of roads and sidewalks. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's in roads and sidewalks. And so there were 18 inquiries October to December. I do remember your inquiry coming in. I remember seeing the email and I remember seeing the response back to you. So if you would like, I can certainly follow up with the staff about that one. I can also go back into the actual increase itself and just verify that it does fall in the roads and sidewalks area, but I'm certain that's the category that it falls under.
Sure, that's great. Thanks, Janet. And also, if multiple people are reporting the same issue, maybe purposefully or not, knowing, is that counted for in these numbers?
Yes and no, in that it's recorded every time. So if 3 people reported the same audible signal that was not functioning properly, then yes, it would be recorded in the metrics itself. But that's something that I would try and qualify in the analysis that I'm providing to the committee. So if of the 18 inquiries that we received between October and December, 6 of them were related to the same malfunctioning audible signal at the corner of, X and Y streets, I would put that information into the report so that the committee knows that, there were 20 complaints, but 6 of them were about the same thing.
That's great. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And Andrew, I see a hand up from Susan.
Hey, Susan, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to, I guess one thing is echo Penny's comment. I think the idea, if we could get the breakdown of sort of complaints versus comments, would be really, really helpful if that's at all possible, because it's really hard to understand from an analytical point of view what needs are being met and not being met without that information. So I just wanted to comment on that. And then Caitlin said something that reminded me of something. I also made a complaint about parking, and it would have been captured in that quarter, and it was resolved very well. But I don't see it captured I don't see any parking complaints during that time. Which isn't, Janet, obviously your fault. I don't mean it that way, but it suggests
No, I
to
guess
me
I'm
there
just,
are things that aren't being captured, right?
I guess I'm just, if you can clarify a bit for me, Susan. I mean, in October to just, there were parking inquiries in each quarter of the year.
So I missed it then. It's my fault.
Okay.
All
right. No
scanned
worries.
it. No, I scanned it just while we were meeting and I didn't see any. So I think I was
okay.
captured. Sorry about that.
No, and actually, Susan, I think I do remember seeing that in the inquiries that were provided, just because I recognized your name.
And it was excellently dealt with. It was very well dealt with. So I guess that's
great.
The thing
That's great.
Even if we could have anyway, whatever. But okay.
Certainly, I can certainly endeavor in further reports to provide a bit of a breakdown. For example, in October to December, there were 44 inquiries. 50% of them were comments and 50% of them required action or something like that.
And Andrew, I see Councillor Neal has his hand up.
Okay, Councillor Neal, please go ahead.
Thank you. Just a quick inquiry. Usually, and it has happened with the lights in Williamsville near the CNIB haven't been functioning. And I've usually, if I've heard about that, I've sent it in through Contact Us. Anything that's related to accessibility, do Contact Us automatically refer that to you, Janet, for our records? I know they do a good job of taking care of those issues, but.
Thank you, Councillor Neal, for the question. It doesn't necessarily get referred to me because, of course, I don't know how to fix traffic lights. But I do, the metrics will come to me. So I will be able to see that there was, a malfunctioning traffic light and it was reported and, it was fixed on such and such a day. So
when
they're
Contact Us does their good work, it does find its way into your report.
It does find its way into its report when they provide me with the metrics, but when an individual concern is reported, it goes to the department that can action the request. Because I'm at home, I can change a light bulb and that's about it, but I don't think I could even change a light bulb in a traffic light. So sending it to me isn't going to get the traffic light fixed. But they do ultimately end up in my purview so that I can report them to this group.
Excellent, because Contact Us, when it first came out, I was a little hesitant to use it, but I find it's really, really useful. So for anybody who has a complaint, if you send it through Contact Us at cityofkingston.ca, they record it and they report back to you as well. So it's a very good service to use. So, thanks.
Andrew, I see a hand up from Corey.
Okay, Corey, please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm a newbie here, so forgive me in advance. But what I was curious about is more of the sort of qualitative tracking of the complaints. And by that, I mean, is there a way for committee members to see the actual summary of each complaint that comes in? As you all know, statistics can be very misleading. So it'd be interesting to see, something like a traffic light has stopped working, or, there was no seating here, or the bus drove, so fast before I was able to sit down that I almost fell over. These kinds of qualitative comments, for me personally, again, as a newbie, would be very interesting to see. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Certainly, that's a great question, Corey. We can endeavor to, include, some examples, if they're notable examples, to provide that context. I would be hesitant to put the entire summary on because it's quite a voluminous document. It comes in a table form, so it wouldn't necessarily, it'd be a lot of information to generate and make accessible and get on the website. It would also require the extraction of a lot of personal information, but we can certainly endeavor to make note of any sort of notable examples, good or bad, to help sort of bring some completeness to the committee about those numbers.
And Andrew, I'm not seeing any further hands for questions or comments at this point.
Okay. As this report was for information only, Derek, do we need to vote on that?
Nope. It is just, if there's no more questions, we just move on to the next agenda item.
Okay, so seeing no more questions, thank you for those questions, everyone. They were great. So moving on to the next item is item C, the working group reports. So first up will be the awareness and education working group. Derek, I think you're taking that.
That is correct. Thank you, Andrew. I'll just provide a brief summary. The last time the working group met, discussed two items, the Celebrating Accessibility Awards, which I believe I discussed at the last meeting, but I will just let everybody know that the awards was held this year in early December on the International Day for Persons with Disabilities. We are very lucky to partner with Kingston Economic Development Corporation to host a webinar that focused on accessibility practices for businesses. I know many committee members were able to attend. So there was a roundtable discussion featuring several local businesses that work in the area of accessibility. And following the roundtable discussion, the awards were presented to the three award winners this year, who were YGK Thrift, Jessica Rivera Belsham, and Lionhearts Inc. So it was very successful, held online again this year thanks to the COVID pandemic. And starting shortly, we will begin the planning process for the 2022 Celebrating Accessibility Awards. And the other item contained in the report regards some work that the working group has helped guide with the business community and outreach. So as part of this, the city and the committee has partnered again with Kingston Economic Development Corporation through their Ask the Expert program, and we are sponsoring a accessible business consultant, two ladies who run Two Canes Consulting, Serena and Natalie. So businesses in Kingston can contact the Economic Development Corporation and receive an hour of free training from Two Canes on making their business more accessible. And the City of Kingston, our accessibility group, we pay for their services. So the consultant is also getting paid as well. So we're helping spread some education in the community through that program as well. And I'll quickly mention that we will be doing appointments for the working group later in the agenda, and the working group this year, first priority will be working on the multi-year working plan for the working group. So starting with a clean slate for the next 2 years. And with that, Andrew, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Are there any questions for Derek?
I'm not seeing any hands, Andrew, so I will turn it back to you.
Okay, so we will move on to the second part of that item, the Built Environment Working Group report. David.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. I just wanted to bring everyone up to date quickly. We meet once a month, the third Thursday of the month. So normally it's 2 weeks after this meeting, the way we typically do it, but third Thursday in the morning. So I'll put my plug in for requests for new members. If people are interested, we typically try to have briefings for from city departments on particular areas. In the past quarter, we had a meeting with Chris Wickie and the planning department regarding our accessibility checklist, and that's a checklist that each of us goes through when we're reviewing site plans or our own individual projects and that kind of thing. And just to see around the compliance to provincial and municipal standards for accessibility, and lots of chatter at the meetings about those particular projects, and the briefings are often coming up as a result of some of the questions we have regarding our own site plans or projects. So Chris has been very accommodating in coming to our meeting semi-annually, so we can check in on how planning is working through all the workflow of different departments and that kind of thing. In our February meeting, we're going to have an orientation should there be new members. And in March, we've got a report from the CNIB, or a briefing, I should say. Briefings are often from city departments, but not always. So the CNIB is coming to talk about accessibility concerns as well in March. As I say, ongoing updates with our site plans and projects. We speak either on the phone or through video conference with the project leads of the city. On occasion, in the past maybe 4 or 5 months, we've managed to actually have some physical walkthroughs, which has been a nice distraction from the pandemic and the lockdowns. But it's a good opportunity to find that the city staffers that are involved in these kinds of projects are really, really well versed and accommodating, and I'm just really impressed with the work they're doing, and they're happy to take questions or concerns, take phone calls, etc., etc. So we've built a good relationship with them. And that's a basic update. Our next meeting, as it says here, Thursday, February 17th, 10 o'clock, by video conference. Okay, thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, David. Are there any questions?
I am not seeing any hands. Andrew?
Okay. So moving on to A to D, which is the appointment to project teams. Just before we get into this, I think there's quite a few. There's 8. For new members, these project teams are a great way to get involved, to really roll up our sleeves, and this committee does some really great work on these project teams. The time commitment for you to be involved in a project is, I would say, minimal, maybe a couple hours at the most. It's typically these project teams comprise of 2 members of the committee, and we try really hard to get an experienced member of the committee with someone new, just so that everyone new can learn and that's how the committee kind of passes on the knowledge to the next round, if you will. So given there's 8, normally we go through these and ask for members. We do a mover, a seconder, and vote on each one. I think in the interest of time, if it's okay, I'm going to wait till the end to do them all at once, just for the interest of time. The first project team I see here is a multi-year accessibility plan, asking for 4 members to volunteer. Janet, is there anything you would like to add about this committee? What it is going to be looking at?
I can actually speak to that one quickly, Andrew. So the city is responsible for creating a multi-year accessibility plan, and it basically sets out what the city is going to do to reduce barriers to accessibility across the corporation through all the services. So our current plan ends this year in 2022. So the next plan will start in 2023. We are looking for 4 people to help provide us with input as we go through the process. There'll be a large public engagement, but we also want to tap into the expertise of the members of MAC. So members serving on this will be meeting occasionally virtually or asking you to help provide us with information via email. In a lot of cases, we'll be hoping to have members help us develop contacts within the community to make sure we're reaching all the appropriate stakeholders in the community and help us get a sense of what the pressing areas of accessibility are in the city and where we should focus. So this project team is a bit longer, but it may be a case of weeks to months before work progresses as things move forward. So hopefully that's a good summary for you, Andrew.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Derek. That helps quite a bit. So is there anyone who would like to volunteer to be on this committee, this project team?
I see Penny, Kate, Susan, and Chantel.
Excellent. There's 4 right there. Thank you. Appreciate that. The second project is LaSalle Park, looking for 2 representatives. And if you, there's always a little blurb at the back of the agenda package in the schedules that give a brief description of what the project entails. I believe this is just looking at park equipment. Could be
Yes.
wrong. Yes.
That's correct, Andrew. And I see we have Amy and Susan volunteering for that one.
Excellent. Thank you very much. The next one is the Bright Crescent project, looking for 2 representatives.
Glenn and Janice.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And the next one is the Star Breed Park Playground, looking for 2 reps. I could be wrong. I think this park is up in the Kings Court Burrito district.
I'm fairly certain of that. Yes, it is. I believe it is off of Drennan Street.
Mm-hmm. So there are 2 volunteers for that.
Susan is volunteering again. Thank you, Susan. And Caitlin.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, everyone. The next project is the City Hall fire alarm and fire sprinkler system, looking for 1 rep. So that usually means we already have 1 who's currently on and looking for 1 more.
I saw Glenn's hand up, which makes sense given his line of work. So it's also, I think this would only have 1 member on it, Andrew, but it is, it's partially completed. So that's why we're putting 1 member, is there's not a large scope of work left.
Excellent. Well, Glenn, thank you very much. And yeah, I agree. That's right up your alley, Glenn. Thank you very much. The next one is the accessible parking, looking for 1 rep. I can't remember what this team is looking at.
So Andrew, this one is a continuous team in that whenever the city either adds or moves accessible parking, they're required to consult with members of the committee. I believe David serves on this committee, so we would be looking for one member to work with David on this.
Would anyone like to join David? I know this.
I believe I see Dinah's hand is up. Yep, she's nodding. It was hard to see because of some sun there. So
Okay.
we have Dinah on that team with David then.
Great, thanks, Dinah.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Donna. The next one is the transit stations looking for one rep.
Oh, and this project team, a little bit of context is it has been working for a bit. I believe Caitlin serves on this project team right now. They have done design. The next phase will be coming through to construction in the near future. So it will not have any work immediately, but will, I believe, in the latter part of 2022. So this may be good for somebody who might be a new member. They'd be partnered with an experienced member. And it is a project. Corey, excellent.
Great. Thank you very much, Corey. I believe the last one is the public art looking for one rep.
And this is also, much like accessible parking, a continuous project team. So you may only be contacted once a year, and it relates to whenever the city does public art installations, any of the accessibility features with them. And I think this is also another project team that Caitlin serves on.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say this is probably one of the more unique project teams you'll ever serve on. And I see Chantel has her hand up.
Excellent. It's rare we get a full vote on all our project teams like this. So thank you very much, everyone. So given all that, I'll ask for a mover and a seconder for the appointments to the project teams.
I see Caitlin moving and Penny seconding.
Excellent. Everyone in favor?
And that passes.
Great. Thank you very much. The next item is the appointment to the Awareness and Education Working Group. You heard Derek give a little information about the activities of that group. Looking for 5 members, but I think it's fair to say that is not a hard number. We would like to see at least 5, but certainly it could be well over that. If that's something you're interested in, please raise a hand.
I have Dinah's hand up. I see Amy. See any other hands? Kate has a hand up. And Penny. I'll also tell people that you're free to attend the meetings if you'd like to see what it's like. And then if you decide you'd like to join later, we can do that. So I have 4 members right now. Maybe Andrew will do one last call if anybody's interested.
Can I ask a question?
Well, certainly, Corey.
Yes.
Sorry, can you tell me when that committee meets, how often it meets, or sorry, that working group meets, how often it meets, and what the time commitment would be?
Not a problem. So it meets typically immediately after a committee meeting. So, and we would meet basically 6 times a year. So think of it as it would be like a 45-minute extension of one of the larger committee meetings.
All right, I can do that.
Excellent. Thank you, Corey. And there's no obligation to be able to attend every single meeting. We understand that people are volunteering their time, especially during the workday. So that's great. So I think we have 5 there, Andrew. So we would just do we can do an omnibus motion after the Bug members and then appoint everybody through one motion.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. That's great. Thank you, everyone. So now we're looking for appointments to the Built Environment Working Group, looking for at least 7 members. David, is there any kind of intro you want to give, like time commitment, frequency of meetings, etc.?
Okay, thanks, Andrew. Well, we do meet monthly. on Thursday morning. I'm certainly happy, once we meet, I'd certainly be happy to have a conversation around how that works. It was working for some and not so much for others. Over the past couple of years, it just seemed to be the way it would best fit. But we meet virtually, and usually it's an information. So if we've got a briefing and updates and discussion around general projects, take between probably an hour and a half. I set aside 10 to 12 if you see that number, just because it gives time, but be happy to chat about that. And then in between, a subsection of the working group is the site plan project team, where you're looking at specific site plans. You're not obliged to be looking at site plans as part of the built environment group, unless you're interested in that. You can be involved with the built environment working group and check in and out of site plans. It's sort of two parts of a whole. And I just say that for clarification from previous experience. Happy to take whoever, and echoing what has been said about you're certainly invited and welcome to come check it out, be part of the conversation, and see how it works. And if you're interested in continuing on a regular basis, then we can make that appointment. Thank you.
Also, just add, you do not need any sort of experience. You don't
Right.
need a construction, engineering, architectural background. You really learn as you go, but it's a great way to see what is going on, what's being built in the city, in our communities, and a great opportunity to make those spaces accessible and inclusive and usable by everyone in our community. I saw a hand up. Was there a question?
Yeah, I think Penny.
Yes, it's Penny speaking. I'm asking if I personally can't see anything, is that going to be possible to be effective on that committee? Are we looking at diagrams or things that I wouldn't be able to do?
You'd be looking at diagrams only if you're involved specifically with the built environment, the site plan project team. When we have individual projects like the ones that we just volunteered for, the city staffer is certainly more than they're very helpful in working through what they're thinking of, how they're looking at different things. There are certainly plans of the project, but it would not be a problem. We've had people, I know we've had people currently and even in the first couple of years I was here who had very low vision or none, and were working through the projects. It's just we try to be really aware of the different abilities that people have, and certainly happy to assist in however we can to make it most comfortable.
Okay, is there any other questions out there?
I think I may just add too that, as Andrew said, around experience, I come from a history of addictions and mental health within the sector working. Engineering and planning and all of the stuff that we go through here was not within my bailiwick at all. So it's over the past few years that you just sort of find what you're looking for and have conversations about different areas of ways of getting around. And so don't be too worried about not having any professional background in looking at stuff like that.
Andrew, I see Caitlin has her hand up and then Chantel after.
Caitlin, please go ahead.
Thanks, Andrew. I just wanted to share my own input in regards to Penny's question. So I myself have low vision, still have some functional vision, but I can definitely relate to what David has said about the built environment working group versus the site plan group. So I did my best to try the site plans, but I found it was very visual and really difficult to interpret and understand that content and material presented. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I know just for me, I really gave it a go, and it was just so visual that it was really difficult for me to be able to provide appropriate input on that. But in terms of the built environment working group and the project teams, it's been really great. I often reach out when the city staff have emailed about a project, and if it's very visual, and it often is, what I'll do is reach out to say, hey, you know what, is there a time that we can set up a call just to discuss this going forward, so that then I'm not just relying on that visual. I can really have that conversation with the staff and ask them any questions so that I can best understand and provide input and feedback on that project. So I would say it is absolutely possible. I myself found the site plan component quite difficult and was unable to do, but the built environment working group, it is possible.
Thank you for that, Caitlin. Chantal.
Unfortunately, I got distracted here at the house. What was the time commitment for that working group?
We meet monthly on the third Thursday at 10 a.m. And we, I would say we meet for, I would say, to be fair, an hour and a half. Usually at the most, we usually make it a bit shorter than that. Happy to adjust in conversation with the other members if that particular time doesn't work. And then the other times in terms of projects, that would be however you can make that fit in your routine and your schedule. So.
And David, did we take the summer off? Sorry to interject.
Oh yes, we did. Yeah. So it's September to June. Yeah. So right now we're going forward. Our next meeting would be third Thursday of February, and we'd go until June. Start back up in late September. Thanks, Janice. And again, you can check in as much as you want or as much as you're able. But if the particular meeting time isn't going to work, we can talk about that well, I guess we can do that as an order of business on our February meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you, David. Any other questions out there?
I see Penny has her hand up.
Penny, is that a new hand or an old hand?
No, I was just responding that I would sit on the committee, but I didn't realize the question was coming up.
Well, that's good to know. Okay, so
good enthusiasm.
Yeah, thank you very much, Penny. So, and just to Penny, we're looking for at least 6 other members. So if anyone would like to volunteer, please raise a hand.
All right, so I see Andrew, David, Susan, Janice, and Glenn, and Caitlin. So let me try and catch up with all these names. I'm going to just come back and make sure I got all these properly. I have Penny, David, Andrew, Glenn, Susan, Janice, and Caitlin. Perfect, and that's 7. So
Excellent.
Excellent indeed. So given that, can I have a motion, a mover and a seconder for those appointments to the Built Environment Group?
I have Chantel moving and David seconding.
Great. Everyone in favor? Those in favor?
And that carries. Andrew?
Excellent. Thank you very much, everyone. So the next item is motions. I don't see any.
Well, I think Susan just has something she'd like to bring up.
Okay, Susan, go ahead.
This isn't a motion. This is just, I'm taking this opportunity to just ask something. In terms of the project teams for the parks, I've been doing a lot of the playground replacement and parks. And in doing that, I came across a document which people may or may not be aware of. In addition to looking at sort of the city's legislation and recommendation around accessibility for parks, last year in 2020, Rick Hansen put out the Rick Hansen Foundation put out a guide to accessible playgrounds. And I recently just came upon this when I was doing some comments on 3 of the parks, actually, with Chanda Shames, the project officer. So I was thinking if it would be helpful, I found it a very comprehensive and very easy to understand document, in addition to the materials we already use. I didn't know if maybe, Derek, I could send it to you and you could send it out to the committee. If that would be something that would be useful. I'm just thinking for people who are new to some of the playground projects, it just gives you an additional resource. So it's just for information, which you may or may not want. I'm not sure, right?
Susan, I'd love for you to send that to me and then I can share with the committee.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. So again, let's go back to motions. I don't see any. So moving on to notices of motions. I don't see any.
Correct.
Item 11 is other business. Does anyone have anything else they would like to discuss?
I'm not seeing any hands, Andrew.
Okay, so moving on to item 12 is correspondence. I do not see any. The next is the date of the next meeting, which is Thursday, March 3rd at 1 p.m. So please mark that down on your calendars. And finally is adjournment. Could I have a mover and a seconder to adjourn the meeting?
I have Janice moving and Dinah seconding.
Those in favor?
And that carries, so we are all allowed to leave.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everyone. See you on March 3rd.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Andrew, Derek, everybody else.
Thanks, everyone.